What's going on, people? So, I got two pairs of shoes here and a bunch of other stuff. So, kind of as the title says, right? That's how this is going to work out. So, first off, make sure none of this matters. I don't think so. So, yeah, I said something before in a past video about like asics and how like they ship stuff in bags sometimes, right? And then it just comes in all this destroyed, right? So that's what happened with this, right? So let's see. I'm unlikely to keep these, because for one, I don't like the whole fact of how this played out. That's actually the main thing, because I keep my shoes in the boxes, and the boxes are stacked. And then when something like this happens, and then the box is destroyed, well, that just compromises the whole thing, right? Who knows what's going to happen? Boxes might be tumbling down. Can't have that. Anyways, let's talk about what's inside, though. So there you have that ASIC Sonic Blast, right? Size 10 for those of you who caught that, right? I mentioned this before when I was doing, they're just barely out of reach. When I was talking about that pair right there, the blue pair the other day, saying that maybe I'll consider getting a half size up. And then look at this. Like, see, the side of the box just falling apart. It's just not okay. It's not okay, people. But yeah, so I was looking at getting a size, and well, not a size and a half, a half size up, right? Thinking that, because somebody reminded me in the comments talking about how stuff can kind of start to feel a little different as you run it for a period of time, all in one session, right? Feet kind of get swollen up and whatnot. I was like, that is a valid point, right? I didn't actually say that because I'm slow to respond to things, but I see all the things. So I figured, let me, pick up something in like two sizes and see how that whole thing works out, right? And because I kind of like this color and I kind of like the other color, it's like maybe I'll just do that with these because they both seem like they could be all right. But anyway, so that's why we are where we are talking about this right here, which is the Asics Sonic Blast and cream and some kind of purple and some pinkish color, reddish color down in there, right? Whatever that is. Real quick, so the bottom piece, right? Very similar outsole to a lot of other things, but down in here, that's the main star of the show in some sort of way. So you got this plate down there. It's not carbon plated, right? It's some sort of other material. I forget what the name of it was. And you can kind of see it also peeking through on the outside and on the inside. That's what's going on down in there, right? Otherwise, pretty standard midsole. So that's going to be the Flight Foam Turbo Squared, which is the same as I put everything away. I don't know why I put all the shoes away right before I started sitting down to talk about stuff. That was not a good move. Anyways, had I not, I'd be showing you not the Ray, but the Mega Blast, because it also had that same foam. But anyway, so that's what's going on down in there. But the thing is, right, the reason they have these plates in here, for those who don't know, as you step down onto it, it kind of flattens out. Then as you go to step out, it springs back into action, kind of helps propel you forward, right? It's a short version of that, I guess. So either way, that's what's going on in there. A lot of people like the carbon plates because they do the same thing, but better, right? But sometimes you want something that's a little bit cheaper that you can use on a daily basis. And I say that because a lot of people, I've never read into this myself, but people have been talking lately about how wearing carbon plated shoes as a daily shoe is not a good thing, which it doesn't seem like it would be. But I mean, I'll just leave other people to do whatever they're doing, right? I see people doing it. I just have my own opinion of it, right? But apparently there's some medical stuff going on and people are saying, yeah, you shouldn't do that. So this should be a little bit more forgiving. I can't really say. But either way, this is going to be a good daily training type shoe, right? Obviously, none of this stuff is really meant to be worn. It's just like normal daily walking around type shoes. But if you want to, that's your prerogative. Anyway, so the whole thing being you run around in these normal days or whatever, and then whenever like race day comes around, you pull out your Rays or your maybe the Mega Blast, I guess that's the thing. But as far as plated shoes, you pull out say like the Ray or the Edge, the Sky, right? Maybe the Hyperion Elite 5, which is a personal favorite right now. And then you go a little bit faster because you've been running around in something like this that does all right for itself. But when you go and you pick it up and you run in something that is really tuned for speed, it gives you that extra boost. I've seen it happen myself. Didn't really believe it until I ran around in something of that nature, which was the Adios Pro 4. Anyways, upper wise, right? Things are looking pretty much like your standard stuff. Meshy sort of upper, right? Not as soft to the touch as certain other things, but I haven't run in my other ones, but I feel like this is going to be fine, right? I truly do, because even the Mega Blast was kind of a rough feel, and it felt great running. Jumping down to the inside, you got a little bit of labeling down in there. It says Sonic Blast, right? Kind of see that sort of. So that's what's going on there. Otherwise, pretty much your normal stuff. So the other thing, like I was saying, these aren't my normal size. It's a half size up. So I'm going to slip these things on real quick, see how these feel. Because that's the other thing, is if they feel like too big, then I'm definitely not going to, do this. But I mean, I could, wear different socks. I guess that's a whole other thing to consider as well. But anyway, so first off, these do feel like they should be actually pretty decent. So you have a little bit more room, like front to back. Side to side isn't as bad as I thought it might be. And I am wearing some Features, some thin socks right now. Features is a brand that makes a lot of running socks, for those who don't know that. So I'm wearing some of their socks right now just because I'm talking about running shoes. So I feel like this was pretty close to what I would be wearing like on a normal day in these. So yeah, I can see how this isn't bad actually, but I'd probably, if I was to wear these, I'd probably go with a thicker sock, like maybe one of the comfort ones, just because they have some extra cushion in there, extra padding and all that stuff. It'll help fill out the extra room. But yeah, I could see this being fine for like running around in and not really having a problem with it. And a lot of people, well, I don't say a lot of people, but I've heard from a handful of people that do suggest just going up a half size on running shoes anyways, because of that whole foot swelling thing, right? So I don't know. I'll do my little science project at some point and see how that whole thing works out. But as far as how I feel about these, right? I will say I liked them more in the pictures for some reason. I don't know why. Like it looks very much the same. I guess maybe I just thought that, I mean, I don't know. I just liked them more when I saw them initially, right? They're not bad. And I could definitely see keeping these in the rotation because I do think that it's kind of a cool look. It's different, right? I have a lot of the same, well, not a lot of the same colors, but this is something that I don't have for sure, right? So there's that piece of it. So I'm not going to talk down on them. I still like them, just not as much as I thought I might, right? So hopefully that makes some kind of sense. But otherwise, I think things are looking pretty good, right? Also, the other thing, this isn't all the same foam down in here, right? You got the flat foam turbo squared, and on the bottom layer, I think it's just going to be like the flat foam blast plus maybe. I honestly can't remember, but if you look down in there, you can kind of see like that it is a split sole, right? Similar build to how the Super Blast 2 was, right? I don't know if you remember that, but that was a thing that was going on. But yeah, there you go. There's my thoughts on that whole thing. They're also very light, like, which is cool. I mean, obviously not going to be like the lightest shoe I have. I guess that goes to the raise, but they're definitely still very low down there. A friend of mine, he picked those up and he was like, "Man, these are crazy light. I thought this box was empty or something." It's kind of like when I got some Adidas shoe a while ago, the SL20, when they first started doing all that like light strike stuff. Well, I don't know if that was when they first started doing it, but it was one of the earlier ones. I'll say that at least. Back when Boost was kind of fading away into the darkness, which is unfortunate because I do like that. On that same note, and somebody getting into this next shoe, somebody left a comment on one of my Ultra Boost reviews saying like, yeah, the only thing that would make these better is if they were light strike. And I'm like, if they were light strike, it wouldn't be an Ultra Boost now, would it? Anyway, so side of the box down there, Supernova Rise 2 M. I'm guessing that stands for men because this is a men's shoe. I mean, I don't know if it's like medium versus like wide or something, but whatever. Let's go ahead and get on in here. And see how Adidas shipped these in that nice box and like they came in perfect condition? Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I am a big, huge asics guy, right? If you've seen me over time, you know that. But I will admit that they do some things I am not a fan of, and that whole bag shipping thing is high on the list, right? Anyway, so let's go ahead and jump on into things here. This, like I was just saying, the Adidas Supernova Rise 2. There is also a Supernova Prima. It's kind of the same thing, just a little bit nicer, right? At least the way it played out on the ones, like because they have a Rise 2 and a Prima 2. On the Rise 1 and the Prima 1, the Prima had like a more cushioned midsole, which that was fine. I didn't prefer it overall, like walking around in, but it did make for some better times and better feel like running in them. So I'll give them that. and it has a more plush upper, right? So it's just kind of like a nicer shoe overall. But the Rise was good because sometimes I just want that basic thing, kind of like when I was talking about the Hyperion 2s. Anyway, so looking at this here, we'll start down here, right? So much like the other ones, the previous ones, the Rise and the Prima, you don't have like a plated thing, but you kind of have these little bars, these energy rods, as they call them. So it kind of functions in a similar way as like a plate, but just not exactly a plate design, right? But that's what's going on down in there. So I'm not sure how far back these go. I want to say it's like full length, but I honestly don't know. Usually I do all my research before I do like the actual video. Midsole wise, this is going to be, I think it's a Dream Strike Plus. Yeah, Dream Strike Plus, which is the same thing that you had on the last one. So very basic. If this was like a different color, it might look a little cooler or something. You know, maybe have some gradients in there. I'm not sure what the other ones look like, but this one I needed a white pair, so here we are. As far as the upper goes, if I bring this in a little bit closer, you can kind of see like a little bit more of the design in there and all that stuff, right? So in that way, it's actually like a pretty nice look to it. And I mean, and I can see it a little clearer like here in person, obviously. So it does make me curious to look a little closer at some of the other colors that they might have, thinking that they could be pretty all right, you know? But will I look into them? Honestly, probably not, you know? I mean, I don't think I need another pair of these. Anyways, tongue-wise, it's going to be one of those padded tongues, right? Not all thin and stuff like some of the other running shoes. So that's a thing that some people are into, some people aren't. It's kind of just up to you. However your preferences are, that's where that's going to stand for you. And then moving on in the back and stuff, you know, same thing back there, a little bit more padding and whatnot than you might be used to, which is good because sometimes you do like to have a little bit of cushion and whatnot. Inside, you got just Supernova, right? So that's all that's really going on down in there. But otherwise, they look to be very much the same. Let's go with this one so I can have some opposites. So this is the Rise 1. This is the Rise 2. Let's get these laces out of the way for a second here. That's kind of annoying, at least to me. So number 2, number 1, right? They're both looking very similar, right? I mean, obviously this one doesn't have any color to really show you a lot to it. But I do kind of like the look better maybe on this one just because I like the way these little dots and whatnot are. But again, I haven't seen any other ones of this style, so I'm not going to commit to that. But right now, I'm definitely liking the way this was. Otherwise, the materials and whatnot, it does seem to be a bit thinner on the Rise 2, which is generally like how things work, right? And it feels largely probably because of that a bit lighter overall than these. Not like night and day, but it's a difference you can notice if you're holding them both in your hand. Is it a difference you would notice like wearing them on the feet? That I don't know. I have my doubts, honestly. But you know, lighter on paper is just lighter, right? So that makes it better in that way, regardless of if you notice it or not. So otherwise, things are looking very much the same, right? Which is good because I was a huge fan of these, you know, because even though I do have my number of like the high-end techie type shoes or whatever, sometimes it's just nice to go out and just run in something like more basic like these or like the Pegasus 41s. They have their space in my lineup, right? So that's why I have those. Now, let me go ahead and try these things on and see how that whole thing works out because that's what I'm curious about. And while I do that, I'll tell you why these are here also. Doing one of those color runs, right? You know, where you go out and they throw some like water around and some color stuff around or whatever and celebrate something. So I got that coming up on Friday. So I figured, well, let me go ahead and get me some white shoes so that I can run around and get them all messed up or whatever. Kind of a stupid thing to do in some ways, right? Go and buy some brand new stuff just to mess it up. But yeah, whatever. There was some kind of discount on these, so I didn't have to pay the full 140 or was it 150? Either way, they came out to like a little over 100 or something like that, you know, like 105, 110. So I was like, okay, that's fine enough by me. Not going to complain about it. I just need them for that anyways. And then I'll still wear them later, you know. They'll just have a nice little customization look to them. So yeah, these are feeling pretty nice. I do like this right off the top, right? So like I said, the upper feels pretty nice around on the foot and everything. It feels light, but at the same time, it feels just plush enough. So that's pretty cool. As far as like the comfort and whatnot, this is like like I said before, it looks very much the same midsole wise as the 2 did. So I'm feeling like this is going to work out just as well. Which again, there are better things out there. This is just Dream Strike Plus, right? I'm not going to say it's the best thing in the world, but it's enough for what I need it for. And also, like I said, when I first put these things on, the number ones, I just like wearing these. They just feel that much nicer to me than a lot of other things. Because, a lot of running shoes, they have a certain feel to them, and it's just not something you want for an extended period of time. But this right here, it kind of gives you like that thing where you can run in it, but you can also like go wear it to work or something like that, or just walking around. And it doesn't have an overly aggressive sort of look either. At least not to me so much, anyways. So that's another thing, because sometimes I look at running shoes and they just look like you should just leave them to running. But yeah, so I'll be figuring out how this whole thing works out later. And I did pick up, because I got another one in a couple weeks, so picked up some new feature socks, right? I am a big fan of like the elites and like the ultralight ones. There we go. So the ultralight ones, they just have like the light cushion, which has like, a little bit of cushion. They have the max cushion, which has a lot of cushion, right? It kind of depends on what you're into as far as what you should buy. So because I usually wear things that have enough cushion in them already, shoe-wise, I go with the light ones because I just let the shoe do the cushion part, right? And I just kind of like the way they feel a little bit more. Now, I do have some cushioned ones for when I'm like doing recovery runs or running with slower people. Also, picked up a shirt because I'm gonna need a shirt to run around in. Does have obviously has a little bit of black on it, but yeah, I'm just gonna let that go. Couldn't find an all white one last minute. And then some of these here pants that I often use, right? Normal men's compression pants. What is that? So just white all the way throughout, minus that little logo on the side. So I'll be running around in these and seeing how that works out. Because I did one of these a year ago, ran around, pants got all messed up, washed them, everything was brand new again. I was like, oh, well, that's convenient. Did the same thing like a few months ago, bought a new pair, because it just made sense. Ran around, got them all dirty, washed them. A lot of those stains are still in there. So whatever they used that time was some serious business. So we'll see what happens. Real quick recap before we go talking about action figures and stuff, because I know a lot of people don't care about that. We started off with this right here. This was the asics Sonic Blast. Just came out earlier this month. Yeah, September, right? Yeah. These came out on the 1st. Nice everyday trainer with a little bit of a plate action going on in there. So that's cool, right? So you wear these throughout the month or months, and then when it's race day, you go out and you run in something that's a little better overall, and you should do much better overall. Then you have something like this, same sort of deal, right? Normal daily trainer type things. Not going to give you too much. I believe it's just like a neutral sort of deal, right? But I needed something white, and so that's where this came in. But even still, I am a big fan of the overall Rise 1. And because the Rise 2, this one right here, seems so much like the Rise 1, I'm expecting to be a fan of these. So we'll see, because I was talking about the Hyperion 2. The Hyperion 3 came out not too long ago, and everything that I've been seeing about it makes me not want to get them, honestly. Now, will I eventually get a pair? More than likely, right, sure. Because I like to make my own opinions of things, and I always suggest everybody out there do the same if ever possible. But you can't not listen to what people are saying sometimes, because you hear it and it's just like repeated. I'm quick to ignore a lot of like 1-star type reviews or whatever, because people are just like, oh, they came in late. Oh, the sizing is bad. Oh, like I don't like how this color looks. Like, okay, that's not a real reason to give something a 1-star necessarily. Not necessarily. But when people are saying like this overall construction is not at all what I've expected from like the Hyperion series, and a lot of people are saying that, then it becomes an issue. Anyway, so if you were just here for the shoe stuff, that's over now. I'm going to talk about some action figure things, open some boxes so I can throw these boxes in the garbage and deal with stuff, because stuff's piling up, people. All right. Okay, so these do come in like their outer mailer boxes. What is this? This is Buzz Off. I'm a Mondo guy. They make some pretty cool stuff, right? It is not for everybody though, people. Like, for one, like the prices of so many things have been going up lately because of decisions people are making in the world. And so that's making these things like pricey, right? So that's one thing. But these figures are also like a 1/6 scale, right? So you get a lot of these things, and they're coming in like just over a foot tall. You know what I'm saying? I know that doesn't really necessarily help anybody who might be from like merry old England or something where you guys don't really use feet. But so what's that, like a third of a meter, I guess you could say, something like that roughly. Either way, they end up being fairly tall, right? This is a buzz off figure, and I'll show you that side. Yeah, so it's a pretty large box. Which is, I mean, they are very well detailed, and you got a lot of articulation that goes into these things too. But again, it just comes down to the fact that, like, if you want to like buy a lot of these things, like, space is going to certainly be a problem. Let's see, how does this one work? Oh, okay, there we go. Oh, sometimes they're Velcro, sometimes they're magnets. So you got a little magnet type action in there, right? See, that's how that is. So probably won't show up very well because of the glares and stuff, but like I was saying, you got Buzz Off in there with a whole bunch of accessories. He looks basically like that, right? Same as like that. So very large figure, but it is cool. It set me back probably like, I don't even know, like probably 300-ish when it was all said and done. I mean, because I don't know how long ago that one came out, right? But a lot of the newer ones, that's kind of where they sit, right? Because they come in at like, say, 240, 250, and often, right? I think Orko was an expensive one. Beastman was an expensive one. I've had some that are not as expensive. And this one is, what is this? Oh, this is Beastman, right? The classic variant. This one was a little pricier too, right? But now that you have to pay like extra shipping costs and tariff costs and stuff, and it has just become like a whole mess. So I don't really get too into it. You know, I just know that I'm not going to get all of them. I'm going to get the ones I want. I'm going to be done with it. What's this person saying here? Don't care about stylish shoes for work. Comfort is first. I mean, I get that, right? I'm not a stylish guy. Like, you can tell by the way I dress that I'm not a stylish guy, right? I wear the things that work for me. I have some things that do happen to fall into the style category in some ways, right? Some of those like Jordan shoes and stuff, right? I have some, but I have them because I just happen to like the way those ones look, right? There's certain color combinations like black and yellow or university blue, you know, green. Certain colors I just like. So when they pop up and it's on something that I can get, then sure, whatever. But I don't buy anything to be stylish because to me, that's just a waste of money. Like, who am I trying to impress, right? Okay. But to each their own, right? If that's how you live, hey, live how you want to. As long as it's not illegal, it should be fine. So, Beastman, right? Very large. If you had any of the figures back in like the earlier days, like the 80s, 90s and stuff, this is a look that will be very familiar to you. And just like I was saying, sometimes, did you hear that? Sometimes you see those black dots over there? Yeah. Once in a while, they are Velcro instead. So let's get this thing over here. And so there you have that, right? A little bit bigger than Buzz Off and all that stuff. But this is going to be Beastman. Oh, we don't have a picture there. This is going to be Beastman, right? So that's what's going on in here. This thing, dealing with that box just now for that like minute was just god awful. All right, moving along here. So yeah, I do like the Mondo stuff though, right? I talk down on it a little bit just because it's so expensive and whatnot, but it's not completely their fault, so I'm not going to get too worked up over it. All right, here's a shirt that I ordered a long time ago. So I ordered this shirt. Remember when like R-Truth like was on Saturday Night Live? Not Saturday Night Main Event. He had this shirt on, right? I saw it, and then like, you know, they put it up on the store like the next day or something like that. And so I bought it like pretty much immediately and forgot about it pretty much immediately. So then like a month later, I'm like, man, like, didn't I order a shirt from something about something? And then I went and looked, I was like, oh yeah, it was this. Like, and then I'm like, where is that? Looked at like all my tracking information, and it's like package going through the wickets, package out for delivery, package has been lost. And I was just like, wait, what? Like, how does that even happen? Like, what do you mean? You went out to deliver it and now you just don't have it anymore? It seemed weird to me. But I emailed the Fanatics people and they're like, well, do you want your money back or do you want a new shirt? And I'm like, well, let's just give me a new shirt because I do want it. And they're like, all right, here you go. And because of the mild inconvenience, they sent it like super fast. They gave me like the next day shipping upgrade and all that, which was cool. So now I have that shirt for real and for sure this time. So now that's pretty all right because it was one of those things I saw and I was like, man, like I'd like to have that, you know, make this little impulse buy, get this thing going. Set that there. Okay, so anybody familiar with Mafex? They make a lot of cool action figures that are also not the cheapest thing in the world. So I think the average one, so here's the thing though, right? Because they are pricey, but you can save some money if you buy from like, I think I got this one from Hobby Genki maybe. I can't really see from here. I bought it from one of those Japanese retailer sites because like they're a Japanese brand, I guess. So rather than buy it from someone else who has imported it, like Big Bad Toy Store, where's that? You know, like I buy a lot of stuff from Big Bad Toy Store, right? But in this case, I figure I'll just buy straight from the people. And even paying like the super fast shipping from Japan, it still came out cheaper than it would have been to buy it online and mostly anywhere here, possibly outside of like maybe eBay. I don't know. But either way, Brown Suit Wolverine, they did a re-release of this not too long ago, and I was ready for it. So the thing that sucks was like I was on the webpage. Yeah, pretty sure it was Hobby Genki. Ami is also a good one. Yeah, they had it up there, and they're like, yeah, we're out of stock, but if you put your name on the mailing list, we'll send you an alert as soon as one comes around. And I missed the first email because I wasn't paying attention. Then, like, you know, a couple weeks later, got another one and bought it immediately. And now it's here. Things are looking pretty good. So if you're into like Mafex figures and whatnot, that would probably be a suggestion for me to you, is to look through there, because a lot of people seem to like not buy them from there. Maybe it's just they have their own cautions about like, you know, buying from some of those sites. And I get it, you know, but I will say this, it's been working out fine for me. Last, certainly not least, got a McFarlane box here, which is also larger than I expected it to be. So let's go ahead and get into this. But another thing though, I will say, if it's a Mafex figure that you don't think is going to sell out, then it could be worthwhile to wait for it to be in the States and stuff, because then you can possibly get it for like a sale. Because I bought a lot of them from Big Bad Toy Store because it's something that has just been sitting around for so long. At this point, they kind of just don't want it anymore, you know? So that can be good. But again, if it's like when they inevitably bring back Spider-Man again or something, that's going to be one that you'll want to just jump on early. Oh, this is a lot going on here. Like, I did not expect any of this to be happening. So let's see. We'll push that over there, make some room. Does this say what this is anywhere? Yeah, it's a Spider-Man figure. Just know that, right? Because there's a lot of text on there. I do like the way that they ship these though, because a lot of stuff, you know, is just kind of thrown in a box and like you just hope for the best. But this being the whole double box thing, that's definitely something I'm a fan of. So the reason I got two of these though, in case you're curious, I knew that this figure was probably going to move relatively quickly. And a friend of mine from work, you know, we do a lot of like the collecting of things, right? Action figures, statues, all that stuff. And we have a good bit of overlap in there, right? So like I might buy something from Iron Studios and he might too, but I'm going for Mr. Sinister, whereas he's like going for Hulk or something. So there's the overlap, but just still some differences. All right. So this right here, right? You got the Spider-Man thing, and it's got like the little web layout background and whatnot in there, right? You can't really tell it. It's designed off of the comic, right? But you just have that down in there so you can have it as a display. But it also comes with a signed McFarlane card. So that's kind of like the main thing about this, right? And somewhere in there is a comic book. I guess it's behind the thing, because it does say that down here, right? And includes comic book. So it's from the Gold Label autograph series, right? I saw this and I was like, well, here is some money. Give those to me, please. I want to say it was like 70. I think it was like 70, something like that. They do also have like the non-signed version and all that stuff, but who wants a non-signed one? You know, I have the signed Venom somewhere, so now I have the signed Spider-Man. And now that set is complete. Speaking of complete, I'm also done with talking, right? So this live is complete. If you have any questions or anything real quick for me, you can type those out, whether it's related to something I talked about here or not. Doesn't really matter. That's why I do these things, so the people can get at me in a real-time situation. But I'm going to start closing this thing out, right? And if I get to the end of saying what I need to say and there's nothing in there, then I leave. That's how this goes. So for me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever's wherever you are. I know last week I said I was going to have some content coming soon, hopefully. I really wanted to, but then I forgot that I had a bunch of other stuff going on last week. So what was it? There was like the Darkness was here, so I saw them. There was Blink 182 and Alkaline Trio. That also happened last week. There was some other band, like Ice Nine Kills, right? So they had that. And then Sunday was My Chemical Romance. So I've been busy doing stuff, right? Doing real life things. So maybe actually not this week either, because the Supernova Ska Festival is this week. So that's 3 days just gone. So sooner or later, there will be some content on this channel that is like real and not just this, right? When exactly? That's a question that I would also like an answer to. And since I don't have that answer, I can't give you that answer. So that's where we are, people. Anyways, now I've said everything I need to say. So do I see anything in there? I do not. That is fantastic, because that means I can go and do something else. And I should really work on cleaning up all this mess. So I'm going to do that, I guess. All right. Later, people.